So you said the weather is shitty today, so no cycling.
Yes, and actually I cycled yesterday, but I'm just not, it's not fun when I'm cold. So I do it because I'm trying to get 8,000 miles this year, but it wasn't exactly pleasurable. Well, in the summer, I do 1,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
And in the winter, I kind of want to do 0 a month. So it's a compromise.
Yeah.
I'll be lucky. I'll be lucky if I have like 300 miles to go. I'll be lucky if I get those miles. Yeah.
Oh, but you still have one entire month.
Yes, a month called December in central Illinois. Yeah, it's not very nice right now.
No, I can imagine. Somewhere towards the end of, so I went to Philia, right? This year I went and I spoke there, and the tail end of the trip, I was in the northern part. I had gone further up, so I'm not missing that right now. But I do miss my friends and I miss all the fun and everything, but I don't miss the cold at all.
Well, you look great. Your bike looks great. It looks like the Philia event was awesome. People are still talking about you. Jess DeWall said that, was it Jess that said she made? I don't know, like various women said that they met you, and yeah.
I remember watching the video that you're talking about, the one where she forgot she forgot my name.
Vaishnavi, but she remembered you, and I'm very sympathetic to that because I'm so bad with names.
Yeah, no, she apologized. It's funny, but it's okay because we talk a lot. So, Nina, we're back again discussing the same old stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, this time with somebody brand new, but the experience just as horrible. Every time it happens to us, we think, well, this is just so bad and I hope it never happens again. And then it happens again. So I'm wondering if we can start off by saying about the latest one. That
this was a classic cancellation, an archetypal cancel experience. A festival invited me as a guest. It was a virtual, or at least partly virtual festival. So they did an interview with me. They were great to talk to. It was a lovely interview. I liked them a lot. They liked me a lot. They talked to me about doing a live Q&A. And then I didn't hear from them. And then after the festival was over, they very apologetically said that they canceled me and did not show the interview and did not list me as a guest because presumably a handful of people complained to them that Nina Paley is an overt transphobe on social media. Mm. So they claim to not believe it, that it's true about me, but they canceled me anyway. And whenever, Gesundheit, whenever...
That's my mom.
Gesundheit, Vaishnavi's mom. Whenever a festival does that, I feel like they are endorsing the lies about me and that they are confirming the lies about me when they know that they are lies. So they do this repeated damage to me, and they're all apologetic and say that, I mean, of course, they're in a difficult position. They did not sign up to be warriors, and they are scared of what will happen to them if they don't cancel me. So they cancel me, but it's they need to stop doing that. They just need to stop. They need to stand up on their hind legs and grow a spine and stop this. They're throwing artists under the bus, and this is going to bite their ass someday. Like this sort of behavior is bad for everyone.
Yes, indeed. But between this cancellation and the last one, were there other festivals that you were invited to that you could showcase your film in and maybe speak with their audience or something in between the two cancellations during COVID?
I mostly don't get invited to anything. Like when this festival invited me, I thought, oh, maybe people just are not buying into the lies about me anymore. Or maybe the liars have gotten tired and focused on something else. what actually was the case is that they just hadn't gotten the memo. So in the animation world, especially, and in the film world, right? Like, you know about Hollywood. It's like, my name has been on the blacklist for a long time. So mostly the consequence, mostly I'm just not invited in the first place, right? It's only embarrassing for them if they make the mistake of inviting me in the first place. And most festivals just don't do that. There've been, I was invited, there was some like corporate program at some company where they show films and have Q&As with filmmakers. So I was invited to one of those and I thought like, okay, I'm pretty sure they didn't get the memo. That's fine. It was like a tiny little thing, a tiny little room full of employees at this company. And there's probably been a few others. I collected email exchanges with these festivals. I removed all the identifying information about them. And now I have this document, which might turn into a published story, but the pattern is it's just the same. They're so excited to have me. They're so excited to invite me. And then they're so sorry.
It's the same thing. Yeah.
It's just dumb. But this time was different. As I say over and over again, it was different because now there are more and more people who are fed up with this. So
yes, you're right. And about that, you haven't really posted a lot about this particular topic on social media at all in a really long time. In fact, I would say that you hadn't done anything even during your previous cancellation. It was probably like a lot longer before that, where you were actually actively talking about it, engaging with people in the comments, and you were at it, so to speak. But now you're not posting anything. You're posting about your latest project. You post your updates and you get feedback from people. And that's the kind of information that I'm seeing. So I would imagine that they would at some point forget that you were once saying something like that, or they found you saying something offensive at some point in the past, which you're not saying anymore. They're just assuming this. They have decided to pin you down like this as this transphobic filmmaker who should be canceled. And even if you're not saying anything, perhaps your views changed now. Who knows? They never checked. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't.
Yeah, but it was never correct in the first place. No, if they got something out of lying about me before, they're going to get just as much out of lying about me now. But honestly, the reason that I have not been sharing much about this particular incident is I want to up my game. Like, I don't just want to keep blogging about it or posting about it every time it happens. I want more support. I want to make a statement that hopefully has more impact than just this. So I am talking to people right now. I am getting it. I cannot say what is going to happen, but I'm saving it. If nothing comes of a concerted effort, then I'll just share the story. The story is so boring, though. It's just the same every time.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, their reasons for canceling me have never been that I am transphobic or that I pose any danger to trans people, right? Like, they have some other motive for lying about me, just like the Hindu Jana Jagruti people had completely other motivations for targeting me and other artists. It's a political thing. And in the animation and film worlds, these are competitive worlds. And it's great to pick off a successful independent artist.
Yeah, you're right.
Of course they want to do that.
Yeah. No, but the thing is, the difference, I was going to bring that up myself, but the difference between your cancellation or the hate you got from Indian, Hindutva people about Sita Sings the Blues is because you made a film that directly, they claim, concerns them, or that you have insulted their deity or whatever. It's like a cause and an effect. But the films that you have made in like your career, you haven't exactly made a film that is anti-trans, so to speak. So there is there is no cause for this effect.
Yeah, but I guess what I'm saying about the Hindutvaris is it's not cause and effect either. Like it took me a while to figure out what was going on, but they have political reasons. They just need targets, right? Like they're not in any danger from Sita Sings the Blues. They're not, and it was not denigrating. And I do not hate Hindu, right? They were just like, oh, she hates Hindus and denigrates this and that. And it's like, well, it's not exactly reverent, but no, it's not denigrating. And I don't hate you. It's exactly the same language. They just freaking need to be hated. It's a narcissistic abuse tactic. And it is 100% politically motivated. I mean, and in both cases, maybe there's also just this affront by a woman making a successful film. I mean, I know that in the animation world, there are male animators and also just artists and cartoonists who hate that. I mean, they hate that any individual would do it, and they really hate that a woman did it. Yeah. So there's undoubtedly some misogyny mixed in with that. There's also just sort of the general sort of conservative regimes where just an individual person is not supposed to make a movie. I did all these things that are out of bounds that people resent.
Another thing that really was peculiar to me is your life as a free speech advocate and, Creative Commons, your free copyleft movement and everything, just quite popular even among male creatives. And, everybody appreciated the fact that you were a very active advocate for not having art tied to the artist and that it should be democratic and, things.
Well, not everybody appreciated that, actually. Some people went bananas and surprisingly,
Yeah. No, I know. So there are these really hardcore people that want to own everything that they do. They were like very pro copyright and that you should pay them money for every time you use it. I'm talking about within the free speech world, where you were actively welcomed, and the fact that you were supporting it sort of helped the process because you have a reputation of being this animation filmmaker, and therefore you saying it sort of added to their, the whole movement. The thing that I'm curious, very interested in knowing is the free speech advocates kind of have like a little bit of an overlap with the TRAs as well. So while on the one hand, you supporting free speech and you supporting the copyleft movement was welcome when it was not about trans or anything. And the same set of people, at least a significant amount of those people, are condemning you for what you should say or what films you should make or what you should write on your social media. It's kind of hypocritical. How can they police you as to what you can say, what films you should make, what opinions you need to have, while also advocating for free speech?
Well, it's kind of like, I mean, there's also ironic inconsistencies with the way that so-called atheists have embraced transgender religion. And the free software, free speech people have been remarkably unprincipled and disappointing. I don't know if you follow Alex Gleason's the post, but Alex, who wrote the software that runs Spinster, he is a target for having created Spinster, and there are these, he's in the free software community, free software / free speech, and I guess Mastodon, they're like ban happy, like these big, so supposedly free software projects are the most vicious, purity spiraling banners and censors. And it's just a fact now of these communities. It's stunning. And friends of mine in these communities they're horrified. They of course don't want to lose their own reputations. But of course, you know about Richard Stallman getting canceled, founder of the free software movement, got canceled by the free software movement. So it's, I mean, of course, it's like ironic and inconsistent, but there are so many similar ironies that have made themselves evident over the last few years. I don't even care anymore. It's like anywhere you look, people have no consistent principles.
Right. So in that case, I mean, then where do you see yourself? Like, is there a community that you're able to go to?
There's no specific community that I can go to reliably. I can say what's going on, and then, like this last time when I said on Twitter that I'd been canceled, I was so supported, right? But I don't know who all that community is, right? Like some of the people that spread the word were other canceled feminist artists, right? You're one of them. I think I will probably always have friends among other canceled feminist artists, other canceled women, but there's no formal community that I can or would rely on in the long term. In the short term, there are. I mean, I'm asking for help from, you know, newer organizations who might be able to help me. But, you know, in the long, I don't have any faith of such things surviving in the long term, because look at the ACLU. You know, if this had happened 10 years ago, I would have gone to the ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union. Well, they're one of the absolute worst now. Even radical feminists, gender critical radical feminists, there's always been the potential for dogma and ideological differences, like extreme ideological thinking. And it's already kind of happening. Like I see feminists condemning and attacking each other, and there are so many splits happening, like, oh, are you too far, you know, you're associating with people on the right, and that's unacceptable, or, you know, you're too married to the left and that's unacceptable, and you're using the preferred pronouns. And I mean, it's like, I'm disappointed by various things, but it's like, you know, I can't expect everybody to be the same as me, like even people who are similar to me on some issue. So I can't say like, oh, the feminists, they'll always be there for me. No, they won't. Some of them will. There are people who will always be there for me who are feminists, but I just can't point to any ideology or formal community and say, oh, they're there for me.
Yeah, I think I kind of feel the same way, because if I'm canceled, I know that I can tell you about it. I know that you will understand, and we can chat about it, and then, you know, comfort each other. I also find myself in a very weird position in India, because until such time I was properly canceled, somebody would write about my work. You know, any little achievements that I have made would make in a like a tiny little portion in some newspaper somewhere, you know, things like that. After that film, after my previous film on workplace sexual harassment, I have now finished Dysphoric, and it's almost going to be a year come January. It's a year since Dysphoric, and the number of people that I have written to, asking them to watch it in good faith and write whatever they feel like writing about it, no response, nothing whatsoever. And the places that I write about films, you know, the media publications that I write to, they commission gigs to me, and then I write about films, about feminist filmmaking, about whatever, you know, about reviewing a film, whatever. I'm not getting those gigs anymore. And some of them have blocked me on social media. Some of them have openly called out my transphobia. Some of them are, you know, sending me private messages saying that, well, I don't want to engage with you, you know, that sort of a thing, like you're trouble. If I work with you, then I will get into trouble myself, so I'd rather not. And then there are some people who would just simply not engage with me, quietly just cut themselves away from me.
Yep.
This is the majority of people, you know. And these are the same people who on another occasion have supported me, have written about it, have as simple as even shared my post on social media. Those people they've gone. I don't know where they are.
Oh, yes. I mean, yes. And I think about these institutions that are created and trusted with disseminating culture, right? Talking about culture. And they're failing when they behave this way. They are failing their duties.
Yeah.
And thinking about my own last cancellation, I was like, okay, so this festival, which exists to talk about animation and have guests like me and things like that, like they're suppressing me, but who is sharing my work now? Just a bunch of randos on Twitter who are fed up with this. Yeah. So now the people who are taking on the work of disseminating culture are not these cultural institutions. They're just ordinary people who want culture to be disseminated.
Yes. Yes.
And it's so pathetic. It's like, but this is what fed me up with distributors when I decided to free Sita Sings the Blues. It became clear to me that the distributors whose job it was to share, to make available films, they were doing the opposite. They were suppressing films because of the business model, right? Which was based on back when you had to use a theater to disseminate a film and you had to charge a ticket. And rather than moving with the times, they just made greater access. Their whole business plan is to limit access that's easier than ever. So these other cultural institutions, it's like their job apparently now is to censor people.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, also, do you not think that the people that get really, really angry with people like you and me are also the kind of people within the film world who say that you should separate the artist from the art? There are some people who still maintain that you should not look at it that way. The art is different from the person who made the film. For example, Johnny Depp, and some of the producers, and what's his name, the guy who made the guy who's had the pedophilia thingy.
Yeah. It's not Roman Polanski, is it?
Roman Polanski also.
Oh, yeah.
There's too many of them.
There's so many of them.
And yet, there's people, they watch those films and they are fine with it. So why is this total boycott only for mostly women? And only women who are saying just this one thing, that sex is real, biological sex is real.
Well, I think you understand it very well, actually.
Yeah.
I think we both understand it very well, that disobedient women have to be canceled.
Yeah.
That's the difference. And the rest of it is lip service.
You're right, because the men who stand up for, or the men who are gender critical, are not facing as much cancellations as much as the women do. Even those that, post stuff on the internet, not necessarily make films or something, completely unrelated stuff that they canceled from their job or something like that. They're just posting tweets. They don't get as much backlash as the women do. Few men get it. Few men get death threats, like Graham Linehan had it really bad and things. But I don't suppose it has been as bad as them losing livelihood. Like for filmmakers, avenues like this is where you network, and then there are potential opportunities, and then that's how you grow. And this is like one major chunk of how we distribute and disseminate our work. And they're cutting that off in a way, I would imagine, like taking my livelihood away to a certain extent.
Sure.
So,
sure. Well, I will say that Graham has been well and truly canceled. However, Graham is way more active and way more, if maybe I'll use the word extreme, in his online activism than most people. And it would only take a fraction of what Graham has done to achieve that for women. So, I mean, it has happened, but in what I would call a more extreme case to men.
I was just saying that how they want to separate the artist from the art and continue watching.
But they don't. It's just bullshit. I mean, it's like, gee, someone who lies about one thing lies about something else. Someone who clearly has no spine or moral compass acts like they have no spine or moral compass. It's like, they're inconsistent. Of course they are. They have to be. That's not what this is about. You know that. I know that. Anyway.
No, so what do we do then, right? Other than us just continuing to talk about it, like, it's not even like they're giving us an opportunity to meet in the middle. It's
That's
just
right.
brazen cancellation. We don't care what you think. We don't want to know what you want to say about that. We are just going to cancel you. And then there's a small group of people who discuss it, condemn it, talk about it, and then decide to do something about it. Nothing happens because they always outnumber us.
So the nothing happens thing, I have hope now. For example, what happened to Jess DeWalls to a greater extent than me, but happened to me a little bit. Okay, so my recent cancellation, I mentioned it on Twitter. Graham Linehan wrote about it in his little newsletter. And now, instead of getting $74 a month on Patreon, I'm getting $480 a month on Patreon. Now, instead of having 7,000 Twitter followers, I have more than 10,000 Twitter followers. So if these bullies realize that every time they cancel us, we end up getting more supporters, more followers, and more money, they will stop doing it. Because that's not the outcome that they want. So this, these people who are out there who are fed up, who specifically want to support canceled women, they're out there, and the more they support us, the more this can change. Because that really sends a message. So people out there, when you hear of a canceled woman, like the Patreon increase. I was never into Patreon. It's not my favorite platform. They've canceled artists themselves. They're actually pretty appalling. I have an account, but I really prefer if people just send me money through PayPal or some other means. But they have measurable metrics, and all these people, it's not like anybody's sending me $100 on Patreon. It's just a whole bunch of people are sending $1, right? Yeah. And you know that they're out there just waiting for the next canceled woman to send her $1. Yeah. And so it's not a huge sacrifice for all these people, but there's just more and more of them. And it's like, hey, that's great. Like if you just give a canceled woman $1 a month, it shows up on the scoreboard, and that can change things. It's not like I can be worried about it. It's just reality. Like, I'm blacklisted. That is reality. Blacklisted from established institutions. Yeah. But like I say, if there's a groundswell supporting canceled people, really not just canceled women, like think about Dave Chappelle, right? Like, he's on tour. He's doing great because people are sick of this shit. And like, I don't like going to live shows, and I don't like supporting celebrities who are already rich. But if he did one in my town, heck yeah, I'd go just for that principle, right? Just because supporting Dave Chappelle is a political act. So yeah, the more people do that, there is a critical mass past which people will not cancel people like this, because that is not the outcome they want. It's only gratifying to them if if it works, right? It's only gratifying to them if they're silenced, if they get less money, if their work is forgotten. And these things are happening at the same time. I mean, when this cancellation happened, I was really sad. And I just thought, like, yeah, I'm old, I'm 53, I'm regarded as a has-been, my work is being forgotten, I'm being forgotten. And I've kind of, I've made some peace with that. I'm like, all right, fine. I'm not like a fancy popular artist anymore. My future is just being a hermit witch. I'm just going to go live on a farm somewhere and look at the trees and be a hermit. But, then the support came and I was like, oh, like maybe they're not going to win, like maybe I am still alive and still creating art and people still want to see it. And maybe people are going to battle this stuff down, but it does seem like there's a battle going on.
Mm.
And it's certainly like, I do my part, my little part, but I can't win the battle. It's up to everybody else.
Mm.
But they're fighting. It's nice.
It is nice. Yes. There's a recent lawsuit against male prisoners in female-only prisons. That's amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Again, you don't have that in India, fortunately, right? Like at least your prisons are sex segregated, aren't they?
Yeah. For now.
Yeah, for now. But it's like in the US, what a disaster. When I was being canceled in my town, the ACLU was busy fighting to put men in women's prisons in Illinois. Illinois was one of the early adopters. Cancel Nina Paley and get those male prisoners in women's prisons. Well done, ACLU.
But Nina, it's not like they don't understand the risks. It's like they don't care. They have decided in their head that this is a political act and I need to do it at whatever cost. And it's not like they don't understand that these are actually rapists and you're making gullible women available for those rapists to rape. It's not like they don't understand it. And And how is it that they somehow have an upper hand and they are somehow more liberal than the others who are saying, well, what about the women in the prison? Who's going to take care of them? Who's going to speak for them? Things like that. I don't know. I mean, it's amazing that something is happening, but sometimes I feel like it is really stupid to fight this fight.
So right? Like it's like, this is the dumbest thing in the world. It's like, really, we have to say what women are like. We were making progress, I thought. And now we're like, yeah, I agree with you. It's like, gee, I thought I was like working on things and advancing thought. And it's like, nope.
I mean, I tried to go and, try and make some discussions possible with local politicians. And then I see them write articles in national newspaper about how they want to help sex workers and make it easy for them during COVID and things like that. I am not saying you should not support them. I mean, poor women, they're stuck in this, but talk about exit, won't you? You're not talking about exit at all. It's not even there in like this really big article. You're not even mentioning it in the corner. Of course, those women who want to leave, we will support them. No, nothing.
None of this is about arguments. This is about tribal affiliation. So the whole point of luxury beliefs, you've heard that phrase, right? Luxury beliefs, is that they're a signal of status and class and tribal affiliation. So you can't argue, like there's no content there. It's just a demonstration. It's like our tribal affiliation is so strong. We are so pure that we will sacrifice women. I mean, I guess it's like human sacrifice. It's just a religion with human sacrifice, right? And like you're obviously an apostate or a heretic because you're not willing to make the human sacrifice that the religion demands.
So why not then go all the way out and then just do away with all the female sex class then? Why are you claiming to support them when you're talking about, say, women belonging to the marginalized caste? You yourself are saying we need to protect those women, we need to safeguard those women, we need to create affirmative actions for those women. And at the same time, by saying something else, you're throwing the same women who you claim to support under the bus. So it's not
That's
even
only if you think it through. It's a religion, right? It's like, I mean, when we were younger, I think we all went through a phase where we were very frustrated with religious people, right? And wanted to argue with them. And then you reach a point in your development where you realize that it's a waste of time to argue about religion because it's just religion. And I agree with all your arguments. And the thing is, sensible, rational people understand those arguments. And I mean, you don't have to hear them like 100 times. They just
make sense.
Yeah. So if they're not making sense, more of them is not going to help people make sense. I think we make these arguments because there are a lot of people who have never thought about it at all, just like the masses of people that just sort of float around with whatever's there and don't examine things critically. And we want those arguments to be available. So the moment they do decide to examine something critically, then
they're there. They can always fall back on it. Yes. I mean, that's my one motivation for doing anything that I'm doing right now. So I was going to ask you, Nina, where do we go from here?
I mean, I think documenting it is good. I think there does seem to be greater interest in the phenomenon now, again, partly because of Dave Chappelle and also because of J.K. Rowling. These are prominent people who can't be canceled, but then there's all the rest of us who can. So, I mean, I was documenting it years ago and I'm going to document it now, but those of us to whom it happens should document as much as possible. Like, what do we do? It's not like you and I alone can fix it, but more people are waking up. So that's why the documentation is important.
Yes.
And you just keep saying something and maybe everything will be okay. But you know what? Since, I am a great pessimist, it's like whatever's going to happen is going to happen,
Yeah.
Like, I'm just trying to make the most out of the only life that I get. And if being a hermit witch is my path, then so be it. I'll be a hermit witch.
I mean, that sounds very, very good and luring to me. I'm halfway there, I think. Not the witch part, but the hermit part, definitely, yes. I'm calling myself a voluntary celibate these days.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, it's taken care of for me. Like menopause, I freaking love it. It's like I have no interest now. It's terrific.
Yeah, well, that's good. That's good. I'm finding sort of drowning myself with so much work that I don't have time to think about it, which is also good. I was going to ask, like, before I let you get on with the day, I wanted you to just tell me what the status of your current project is. Since the last time we talked.
Yeah, so right now I am illustrating the Book of Revelation with animated GIF loops. And I am so contented. I haven't been in this mode for a long time, but it's just what I like. It's just like, what little piece of this project will I work on today? And, I can solve this little problem. Right now I'm animating a loop where the robes of the righteous are washed in the blood of the lamb. So, I have the lamb standing up and squirting blood on the robe and it turns white. And it's like, it's just satisfying and nice and it'll keep me busy for months. And right. I'm very content.
And this is going to be a part of a collection somewhere towards the end?
Yeah, well, right now the work in progress is on a website called apocalypseanimated.com. So it is in the form of, I'm using WordPress software. So it looks great on a phone, actually. Apocalypseanimated.com, but I'm only up to chapter 7. I'm working on chapter 7 now. There's 22 chapters.
Wonderful.
I've probably made about 30 GIFs or something. I'll go back and edit them to make them smaller because some of them are really heavy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a problem with animated stuff, isn't it? Layers and layers and layers of.
Yeah, and like one of them, it can be only like some of them are 1 second loops. Some of them are like 5 or 6 seconds, but 1 second loops with all these effects and stuff, they can be like more than 2 megabytes. Yeah, just megabytes. Even at only 24 frames, not very big. If a whole lot of people look at this website, it's going to cost me because my host stuff's going to go up. So I will, when it's all done, I'll go back and edit some of them to be a little bit simpler to reduce the weight. And then I would like to publish it as an ebook. There's currently no ebook publishing software that supports animated GIFs. Isn't that weird? I mean, they support them, right? You can put them in, but they end up presenting it as interactive video clips,
right?
Which is not what I want. I just want them to just loop. Like on the just loop. It's like you could turn them all off globally if you hate looping, but it's not like, push this button to see the video. I just want them to be that. So there might be some software development necessary to make just a very simple ebook with animated GIFs. Like, why don't people already have that? Yeah. Like, I don't want it to be interactive. Yeah. Interactive is like, I want you just to like passively, you're scrolling along and there it is and you look at it.
Do you have like a time in mind when this will be over, when you want to announce it?
Oh, I mean, give me a few months. It'll probably be a few months. And then I'll make a little short movie with the same material. But the point is I want people to see the text because the Book of Revelation is freaking weird. That is, have you ever read it?
No.
No, I never read it either. And it's just like, yeah, it's not like anything. It's not like anything else in the Bible. And it's just psychedelic. It's a revenge fantasy.
Wow.
Yeah, I started reading it because I was thinking of doing a movie or some project about scapegoats and who is the great scapegoat of mythology is Jesus Christ. So I thought, well, time to read the New Testament. And then it ended with this. And John of Patmos, who supposedly wrote it, he was sort of canceled. The early Christian martyrs, we could say, were all canceled, right? He was exiled for his beliefs, not saying whether the beliefs are good or bad, but he believed in something and, paid for it and wanted revenge.
Yeah, cool. That's the book of Revelation?
That's the Book of Revelation, but it's gruesome. It's like, it's very, in some ways it's very unchristian because I had thought that Christianity was all about forgiveness and wholeness, forgive your enemy, love your enemy. But Revelation is like, nope, enemy's going straight to hell, going to be tortured forever in graphic detail. It's going to be stung with the stings of giant scorpions and, really goes into it.
Now it all makes sense because I remember seeing some of the gifts that are like with cut marks and blood squirting. And the recent one that I saw was like this rubber stamp that is just hitting.
Yes, that's the good. That's the saved.
Right.
The saved ones are marked. Like you're marked, good or evil, right? In this thing. And good is like 100% good, heaven, pleasure forever. Evil is
doomed forever.
Graphic torture. And I think that's what happens when you're traumatized is you do this thing psychologists call splitting, where everything is, 100% good, 100% bad. You're for me or against me. And during the worst parts of my own cancellation, I did find myself tempted to think that way. That's something I really hated about it. I do know it's just a result of trauma. And I try not to do that, but it's cool that this book it goes all the way, right? Like, so I try not to do splitting, but this one just indulges all about splitting. It's just a total splitting wet dream in an unlikely place, right? The last book of the Bible. What a weird piece of literature.
I want to ask you if you have any final words.
Well, final words are you're awesome. And also your haircut is awesome.
Thank you, Nina. Thank you.
I'm just the more I look at it, I'm like, that's really nice.
Thank you very much. This is my usual, the time that you saw me was like an odd period where I decided to grow my hair, but this is my standard. Thank you, Nina.
Yay. Thank you.
Yes. We shall talk soon.